It's Sunday. It's fun day. And maybe one day, John and I will get paid to do this every week. Welcome back to another episode of the Electric 10-8 podcast. We're riding high. I, as always, your humble narrator, Zach from filthy Philadelphia, taking a little sojourn back to the homeland, Long Island, or Strong Island, as it's known. Am joined by the incomparable John Boy down there in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. John Boy, this background, this aura, this essence, I'm off this week. You may have to do some heavy lifting. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You're looking a little sun-kissed. Look like you're enjoying the outdoors.
A little bit, yeah. Had to come inside, make sure we record in a professional setting. We were that close to doing a poolside recording, but there's just too much environmental distraction right now. I had to step away.
I respect that. You're doing it for the people.
That's it. We do it for the fans, which we may or may not have a few new ones of this week. Who's to say? But listen, we're here. We're gonna lay it down the way we always lay it down, and we're gonna keep it moving.
I'm liking this Sunday sit down. That's all I got to say.
I don't know if I like it yet, but I'm gonna say this: like most things in my life, I'm open-minded. I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try anything once, twice for money.
Wow.
And so here we are. This is the second one. Where we at? Where we at? Let's do this. Let's let that chopper sing.
The energy is still pulsating. I still feel the energy that France gave us yesterday. Hell of a card. Did not disappoint.
No, it didn't.
No,
it did not. Let's
kind of surprised that was the first time they were ever in France, though. No,
I am extremely surprised, and I said this to somebody yesterday. France, throughout its history, has been an extremely pugilistic city, right? I mean, a lot of great boxers have come out of France. A lot of great boxing has happened in France. If you're a little bit of a literary nerd like I am, you know that a lot of great writers went over there and were in the boxing scene in Paris at the turn of the century, early 1900s. And then a lot of great grapplers have come out of Paris. I mean, Teddy Raniere, I believe, is a Parisian judo player. He's an Olympic gold medalist. So I was surprised to hear that France actually did not legalize MMA until what, 2020, 2021?
Wow. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I believe the sport was banned.
That was the barrier to entry because the people in France showed out, man. Woo!
They were ready. That's a pugilistic country, and Paris being, the city that it is, I'm getting images of Ernest Hemingway doing some light boxing over there in Paris, and I'm thinking this is a city that needs MMA. This is a country that needs MMA, a city that is going to thrive on it. I loved it. How'd you feel?
I mean, the energy for a noon card, right? That was just there's not a better way to start it off. That's been kind of a common theme. Let's get UFCs early in the morning, start the day off right. And man, just that card though, that card just really lived up to expectations. Couldn't have been, it was a storybook ending or a storybook start, should I say, for France. And I have a feeling we're going to see a couple more fights over there.
I do. Now you like the early starts. Now, the only reason that these starts have been so early for us is because, of course, that's prime time over there in Europe. So I'm wondering what the UFC is looking at here. If they're getting a big viewership for these earlier cards in the States, if that's going to impact how they do cards in the States. I'd be interested to see it. I don't know. We'll see.
That's fair.
You wanna get down to brass tacks?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just joining us for our Sunday sit down, we're going to give our 3 big takeaways from UFC Paris, maybe a little bit of UFC news trickled down in there. And then we're going to tackle that UFC 279 pay-per-view that we have on the horizon for next week.
That is a pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view. We're ready.
Strap in, enjoy the show. Without further ado, you want to start things off?
I do want to start us off, and I'll tell you why. I only have one takeaway this week from UFC Paris, but I think it's going to frame your 3 takeaways, which I imagine are Parisian-centered. My takeaway is that UFC Paris went exactly as it was supposed to. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I believe French fighters went 5-0 on the night. There were some big finishes. There were some exciting fights. There were some things I know you're going to get into in your takeaways. Of course, Benoit Saint-Denis, the French special forces guy, went out there and had a war with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. You can't beat that. That's a lot of fun. And then not only did Ciryl Gane win, but he knocked out Tai Tuivasa.
Mm-hmm.
That's big. He overcame adversity. That's big. And the fight went 3 rounds, which means that the crowd really had time to lock in on that fight. There was excitement. There was back and forth. And then, of course, the French fighter, the Paris native, gets the dub. I mean, this went exactly as it was supposed to. I don't think the UFC could have written a better card for themselves to go to Paris for the first time. So that's my takeaway.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll transition. I'll try and ride the coattails a little bit, but I'll start it off with I honestly think Ciryl Gane has the most potential at heavyweight. I think if he can just shore up the grappling a little bit, he's definitely going to wear gold. I think he's a legitimate problem. I haven't seen someone meticulously break somebody down like that at heavyweight. Usually it's like sluggers landing big shots or just, a glaring advantage in grappling or striking or something like that. But man, the way that Gane just picked him apart and he ate the big shot, like you said. And I love when fighters feel a little bit of adversity because we really get to know when the shit hits the fan, how are you going to get up and respond? Gane checked every single box, and I think he's a legitimate problem for everybody in the division. Maybe book the John Jones fight with Gane.
Now that's an interesting thought. And the one thing that I noticed yesterday, the one thing I've noticed about Ciryl Gane as I've watched him is just how athletic he is, right? I mean, you look at him and Tai Tuivasa, and Ciryl Gane is obviously so much more athletic, so much faster. That jab gets fired off like a 45 caliber handgun, man. Just big, mean, nasty, and fast. And just the way he moves, he moves like a middleweight. He moves like somebody who is not as heavy as he is. He's just, I could not agree more. I think if he dials that grappling in a little bit, maybe, because obviously we saw that was where Francis actually managed to exploit Ciryl Gane's game, was in the grappling department, was with the takedowns. But if and how long has Ciryl Gane been an MMA fighter? 3 years.
Yeah, right. He's 11-1. He's got 12 pro fights. 9 of them are in the UFC. So this guy just, dude, they threw him straight into the deep end, and he's excelling with one hiccup from the current champion. He's going to be a problem, man. I really, really believe that. He has a lot of potential. And there are a couple guys that worry me matchup-wise, like Blades or something like that might to exploit him. So he's obviously got to shore some shit up, but hell of a performance, man.
Hell of a performance, and look, to circle back, I think you're absolutely right when you say Gane and Jones is the way to go, because, I look at, and there were a few people in the MMA media who were kind of pushing like Tuivasa, if he won, call out Jones. John Jones is just too fast. He's just too strong. He's too fast. He's too agile. He's too athletic. I want to see John Jones have a heavyweight challenge against somebody like Ciryl Gane, who can match that athleticism, match that quickness, and we might really be looking at one hell of a fight on our hands. Whereas I feel like with a large majority of the heavyweight division for the UFC, Jones is going to run through him, not because of anything other than his speed and athleticism, which it looks like he's maintained as he's gotten heavier.
Mm-hmm.
These big boys who count on landing one big shot and having a walk-off win, you're not going to get that with Jones, because he's not going to stand still and let you do that, right? He's going to move quicker. He's going to play those angles. So I think Ciryl is absolutely the right call for Jones, especially because it looks like Stipe, I don't know, I'm hearing he might be wavering a little bit. Some people are saying they're not sure if he really wants to come back anymore. He has a whole other life outside fighting. He's obviously a Cleveland firefighter. And Stipe's on the losing side of his 30s at this point. I mean, how many more times does Stipe want to get hit by one of these Mack trucks before he's like, nah, I've had the belt. I'm good. We can move on.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Probably regarded as the greatest heavyweight of all time.
At this point.
I would say so, right? The resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, Stipe was a dominant champion. He did some unthinkable things, including beating Francis Ngannou when Francis was looking like legitimately the character Predator from the movie Predator,
Mhm.
right? Stipe beat him.
Yeah.
Stipe did what a lot of people said was undoable, was unthinkable. Let me ask you this:
Mhm.
where does Tai Tuivasa stock go for you after this?
Ugh. I mean, what a display of heart, man. It was one of those ones where it's like nobody was really a loser in that. I know that's hard to say because he took just an absolute beating, but I mean, how could you not respect that, man? I mean, the thing that you love about Ty is he legitimately went in there like thinking he was going to win that fight or at least laying it all on the line. He didn't quit. You see that with a lot of heavyweights, right? When the shit starts not going their way, they start to quit, they start to give up. That was not the case with Ty. Hell of a performance. The thing is, I don't know where we're going to see him go from here. That's I don't want to say gatekeeper, but
That's what it is.
that's unfortunately that might be the designation we're going to give him right now. But damn, pay both of those boys; they deserve it.
What I will say, and this was what kind of stood out to me, and obviously against a guy as fast as Cyril Gahn, eventually it didn't pay off. But where I see Tuivasa kind of stand out a little bit more than somebody like, let's take a Derek Lewis, right? Because their fighting styles seem to be very similar, right? They're looking for the one big shot, they're looking to knock you out, and they're looking to go off into the sunset. But unlike Derek Lewis, who just kind of walks forward almost zombie-esque, I don't know if you noticed this, but Tuivasa was at least trying to play a little bit of a smarter fight game. I noticed this when Gon was throwing those teeps, those front kicks at him, just one after the other. Tuivasa was trying to parry them. He was trying to move out of the way. When Gon was throwing those headshots, Tuivasa was trying to have it glance off at an angle. I thought his fight IQ looked better than some of the more stand and bang heavyweights that we've seen. So honestly, when I talk about Tuivasa being a gatekeeper, I don't even mean it as a bad or as a knock on him. I don't think he's going to beat the Gans or the Ngannous or even probably the John Joneses of the world. But he's going to beat a lot of guys at heavyweight, and I think he's got a higher IQ than he probably gets credit for as a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the growth, right, from his first fight. He just a complete brawler. He, like you said, he had a game plan this time. They kind of went in with a regimented way to approach it, and he followed it. He used his tools to the best of his ability, and that's all you can really ask in a fighter. Yeah, he's definitely a guy who you match somebody up with to tell if they're ready to break into the top five.
Exactly.
So gatekeeper, yeah, but a legitimate gatekeeper. We'll give him a little bit more street cred, right?
Yeah, I would say so, and I think that that's fair. You ready for my next takeaway?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, I'm going to do this now so that I can save us time in our next round, because I don't know how much we really need to dive into our main event coming on Saturday. And this is going to pain me to say, so I want you to bear with me.
Okay.
If I get emotional, I apologize. I'm an emotional guy. Nate Diaz winning would be a bad thing. I think it
Would
would
be
be
would
would
be a
be a
bad.
bad thing. And I'll tell you why. So I am of course longtime listeners of the pod will know I am a lifelong fan of this sport. Been watching it since it kind of came to existence in '93 here in the States. And so of course, my high school years were watching the Diaz brothers, watching the Ultimate Fighter season 5, watching Nate throw the shirt off and challenge everybody in the living room to fight him. Um, I am a Diaz fan until the end of time, but Nate Diaz pulling off the unthinkable here, like we almost saw him do against Leon Edwards, would be a bad thing for the sport of mixed martial arts. It's time for a new generation. It's time for a new generation of fighter. And I don't think that Nate Diaz has the longevity for the fans of MMA that Khamzat Chimaev does. Right? We're looking at a guy in Khamzat Chimaev who's young, who's hungry, who's an absolute murderer. Nate Diaz wins and beats this guy. He's going to end up, I think, completely throwing a wrench into that division. He's going to screw up everyone's plans to kind of move the belt along, to move the rankings along. Nate Diaz should not be the title qualifier. It just shouldn't be. It's, his record is, I'm gonna have to look because it's 20-13. So he's slightly above a 500 fighter.
Yeah.
Time for a new generation.
One thing I'm gonna say, I'm glad you brought this up because I do have a contradicting view here. I disagree. I actually think if Nate won, it might not necessarily even be that bad for Khamzat. Right? We've seen it before, kind of with like the meteoric rise with McGregor, right? Trajectory through the roof to the moon, and then guess who shows up and puts an end to it? Nathan Diaz. Did that really hamper McGregor's career at all? I don't think it did. I think if anything, it actually made it a little bit bigger. It gave him a legitimate rival. It gave him, something for the fans to watch. Like, oh shit, McGregor lost. And Nathan Diaz is like the perfect heel, right? He's the perfect guy. He has the name value. He sells the pay-per-views. I mean, he is the perfect dance partner that you would want in a prolific fight, and kind of whatever happens.
I certainly, and the 17-year-old in me certainly agrees with you.
Mm-hmm.
My problem is this, right? As I transition into my early 30s here, the new fans of the sport, they didn't come up with Diaz. They didn't grow up with the Diaz army. They never watched a Strikeforce event. They don't know Ward Diaz. They don't know the Stockton Slap. They don't know about these dudes showing up to press conferences in baggy jeans and Timberlands and throwing fucking water bottles and starting riots, right? He is not the new generation of fans fighter. He's not. As much as people might like him, that connection to Nate Diaz, that's guys my age or around my age, right? We need people coming in now. We need to turn the casuals into real fans, and the young casuals. I'm not talking about the true dyed-in-the-wool fans of this sport who might be younger. I'm talking about the casuals that you want to turn into big fans. They didn't grow up with the Diaz army. They're not about that life. And quite frankly, I think Diaz holding on to this, it's going to keep guys like me invested, but there's not going to be that emotional hook to a younger generation of fan who didn't grow up with Diaz. That's my take.
I don't know, man. I think Diaz is transcended through time. I think he's going to carry over. I think he's always going to have that appeal. I mean, there was a video that just went viral, right, of him smoking a blunt with USADA at his house.
That was pretty cool.
I feel like the casual fans do kind of relate to that. And I do feel like the upcoming fans relate to that. And I just think the Diaz brothers just have an aura about them that's undeniable. And they're just a draw. Whether their record constitutes it or not, it doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day, if it sells, it sells. And they're going to bring it as well, right? These guys are going to give it. And that's what people want to see, right? They want to see people. They're going to go out on their shield and they're going to give everything they have. And that is literally embodies the Diaz brothers. And we'll see what Nate's got for us. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but who knows? I think it's a win-win, but we'll say.
Fair enough. Hit me.
All right. Number 2, Robert Whittaker is going nowhere. Like, that guy looks as good as he's ever looked. He will always be right there, just waiting in that number 1 contender spot. A lot of people online I was seeing, they were like, oh, Israel Adesanya should get a ton of respect because, he beat both of these guys. But Adesanya didn't do that to Vettori. Whittaker beat the brakes off of Vettori. The Adesanya-Vettori fight I'm not going to say evenly matched, but he did not put a beating on him like Whittaker did. So, I mean, styles make fights, obviously, and it looks like Adesanya kind of has that contrasting karate style that is kind of seems to be Whittaker's kryptonite. So I get that matchup could be an issue, but watch out. If Pereira beats Adesanya, I could see Whittaker slide in there and maybe upset Pereira or something like that, where the matchup is right for him. don't count out Bobby Knuckles. He looks more motivated than I've ever seen him. He looked fucking crispy yesterday, man. He's probably one of my favorite fighters to watch just because that karate stance that he takes, he uses the wrestling, super unorthodox and just motivated, hungry, and he's been there before too. So you can't count out the veteran savviness, and it doesn't look like he's lost the eye of the tiger. The Reaper's going nowhere as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I have no additional comments. Don't ever count out Bobby Knuckles. That man's a problem for anyone who fights him. And he's always just one good day away, I think, from having that strap. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I was saying it to you before the fight. We were kind of confused. We said it on the pod a little bit as well, like why the line on this fight wasn't wider. I didn't really understand the respect that Vettori was getting in this one. And sure enough, Whitaker showed us that we were kind of right with that. I guess there's always going to be a little bit of an angle that Vegas kind of sleeps on, and that was definitely a fight to take advantage of because he did not look like a minus 200 favorite. He looked like a minus 2,000 favorite in that fight.
Yeah,
I think he wins that fight 9 times out of 10. Hell of a performance from Bobby Knuckles. Love to see it.
Yeah.
What do you got for number 3?
All right, my number 3, which I've danced around before, and I'm gonna say it now, and I'm gonna die on this shield, and I know you're gonna disagree with it.
Oh, here we go.
Conor McGregor ain't never coming back. The more I think about it, the more I sit with it. I just don't see it. I think time is going to be his worst enemy here. And I know the videos we've seen, he's looking big and buff. But if you look at this guy's, and look, social media doesn't tell the whole story, but if you look at this guy's social media, he's becoming a fucking sideshow act on Instagram and Twitter. And quite frankly, where does he go? And I know we've talked about it before, and you're going to say that everybody at 155 pounds still calls out Conor. They still talk about the red panty night, but that's going to get away from him eventually. It's going to happen. Eventually, you're going to lose that traction. It's not going to be 2030, and we're still going to be talking about, an aging Conor McGregor, like, oh, well, he never fought McGregor. Eventually, time's just going to get away from you. And I don't see anything in this man's life that he's showing us on social media that tells me he's thinking about his comeback fight. His manager keeps talking about his comeback fight, talking about how we're not ready for it. We don't know what's coming. Bro, tell me what's coming. Because I got to tell you, the weight classes that he's fought in, the dudes there right now, they're looking lean, mean, they're hungry. And if any of them are calling out a McGregor fight, it's because they think they can win it. Because at this point, this man's spending all his time on a Lamborghini mega yacht, and he doesn't seem to be spending any of it in the gym. And I always harken back to John Smith, the greatest American wrestler in history, talking about getting up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning to go train, not because he had to, but because his rivals in Russia were training at that time, and he'd be goddamned if they were going to be training and he wasn't. I don't see that hungriness out of McGregor anymore. I don't think he's got it anymore. I think he crested the mountain a few times in a few different places. I think he made a ton of money. Obviously, Proper 12 is an official UFC sponsor. So this dude's going to keep making money hand over fist. At some point, you have to start considering who's really hungry for it. And there was a time where Conor McGregor was the hungriest motherfucker in the world for it. And I just think that time has passed. And I think he knows it. And I don't think he's coming back, because somebody out there is real hungry for it, and I don't think it's him. Tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead. Let me hear it.
I get it, right? It's a tale as old as time, right? You can't wake up with the silk slippers, the Lamborghini yacht. It's going to, obviously your motivation is going to change when you've made it. And McGregor has made it. But I don't know. I think he's one of those guys, like a Diaz guy, that is always going to carry the name. He's always going to be a big draw. He's just different. He's a legend of the game. And he's always relevant. Yes, he's on social media. Yes, he's bullshitting around, but he's always in the mainstream media. He's always in the limelight. He's always, you're always going to click on the headline with McGregor in it. He has that aura. He has that draw. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. And that's why people love him. And we're forgetting one thing too, Zach, like Dustin Poirier and Khabib are his last 2 losses.
Yeah.
All right. The 2 best guys in the world. We'll see, right? 155 is loaded with killers. We're going to have to see how this plays out. you know, if he's going to kind of cherry pick a matchup where he sees himself kind of having an advantage. We've already heard the current champion go on record multiple times saying, I want that fight. I want that fight. And you're telling me Islam Makhachev wouldn't take that fight either. And I think McGregor might take that fight too. I think he's just crazy enough to take that fight too.
Listen, that Makhachev fight's going to need extra security if he fights McGregor.
Yeah.
And look, I get it, right? But he's more personality than fighter at this point. You know, he's more of a personality than he is a fighter. And I'll say this: if he comes back and he loses to a Makhachev or he loses to an Oliveira, I think it's a wrap. I think it's a wrap. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he comes back and starches one of these guys in Jose Aldo fashion. Maybe he sends him to the canvas, and all we can talk about then is the rise of the re-rise of McGregor like a phoenix. But if he comes back and loses to one of those guys, I think it's a wrap. Because I think the only answer then is you got to get back in line for the fight. You got to get back in line for the toll. And that if that's the case, I don't know that McGregor pulls that draw again. That rise was so meteoric that how do you have lightning strike twice like that? I don't know. I don't see it. And I think McGregor knows it. And I think that's keeping him from doing it. But that's all I'll say about it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, all I'll say is people have doubted the man before and he's proved them wrong. So I'm not just ready to count him out yet. I think he does have some winnable matchup fights at 155. Like if he doesn't just hop right into immediate title contentions, and some massive draws though, right? I mean, you got Chandler. I mean, Ferguson's going up to 170. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But there are fights for him that make sense, that are big draws. I don't know, man. I don't think we've seen the last of McGregor though. I really don't.
Well, I guess everybody's going to have to keep tuning into the 10-8 round to find out. That's all I know.
Number 3.
Hit me.
Abis Magomedov.
Ooh.
Oof. I saw a stat on the UFC that ESPN Plus gave out, and it was Magomedovs in the UFC are like 49-8, their record. If you have Magomedov in your name. And the crazy part is that doesn't really tell the story about this, because I don't think I've seen a more dominant UFC debut from a guy. I know Dustin Stoltzfus isn't a world killer by any means, but nobody has gone in there and thrown like a total of 3 strikes. All 3 strikes landed, knocked him out in 19 seconds.
19.
And I mean, 25-4, just looks built, looks put together, looks like a true 185er. Man, the UFC is in good hands right now. We have a lot of guys that are coming up the ranks that are killers in every single division. I don't know. It gets me hyped up that there are so many big prospects that are coming up the ranks. And Abis Magomedov, look out for him, because he looked mean. He looked nasty. He looked ready for the moment. I mean, talk about when the lights are on performing. That guy's a savage.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that, except that, Magomedov then in the post fight said, he said he and his camp had already figured out how they're gonna beat Izzy with wrestling. And I believe him. I have no reason to doubt him. I think that man just showed up, and I think he'd already be a problem for the top of that division. So yeah.
Just book the Whitaker fight right now with him, right?
Put it down. Book it.
I would watch the shit out of that, but
I'll watch it every day of the week.
We'll slowly rein him in, but I have a feeling he's just going to kill everybody. That's not in the ranked, that's not ranked outside the top 15. It feels like this is like, premeditated murder, essentially, putting him in the ring with another guy. He was like a -250 favorite.
Yeah.
What the hell was Vegas? Vegas fell asleep at the wheel, as far as I'm concerned, for this card. Holy shit. Who the hell lined that one? But regardless, we're going to get into UFC 279 right now.
Let's do it.
And let's see if UFC made let's see if Vegas made some errors on this one. We'll get into it. We got a juicy one at the top of the order.
Khamzat Chimaev taking on Nathan Diaz. Khamzat Chimaev 11-0, Nathan Diaz 20-13. I'll just preempt you on this one. I'm gonna guess Diaz is the favorite, right? Spot on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Nathan Diaz is the favorite. Stockton motherfucker.
Oof.
How bad is it?
So it's gotten worse. Okay. It opened up at like minus 1,200, minus 1,400. It was flirting around, but money's coming in. Money's coming in big on Khamzat. He's all the way up to minus 1,800. He's going to be in that minus 2,000 territory before we know it. This is like one of those obscure boxing lines where the promoter lines up kind of a guy to get just absolutely demolished. And but let's not steer the people wrong here. Okay, the UFC knows what they want here. They want Nate Diaz to get absolutely mauled, and they want the casual fan base, the Diaz supporters, to be like, "Holy shit, this Khamzat Chimaev guy is the real deal." And as far as I'm concerned, the floodgates are open at 170 now, right? Kamaru Usman just lost the belt. I mean, the writing is on the wall for Khamzat to just be an absolute mega star.
Yeah.
Minus 1,800, probably warranted.
Yeah, probably.
Probably warranted, right? I mean, we just saw him go into deep water with Gilbert Burns. It was a hell of a fight. I think Gilbert Burns is a lot better fighter than Nate, especially at this point in time.
At this point, absolutely.
One thing I will say, if Khamzat doesn't make this quick and doesn't get him out of there early, you just can't count Diaz brothers out in those fourth and fifth, those later rounds of the fight. We saw him do it with Leon Edwards, the current champion of the world, where he caught him in the fifth round, man.
And almost took him out.
If he can preserve his face from bleeding out and getting it stopped, you know what I mean? Like a doctor stoppage or something like that. There's a slither of hope in the later rounds, but God, he's going to have a tough 15 minutes. I'm going to tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about the Diaz brothers, right? They are slick boxers. They are jiu-jitsu black belts, and they are just tough and mean as they come.
Crafty.
They're crafty. They are. They're slick, and there exists no world in my mind where Nate Diaz should win this fight. But I don't know. Nate Diaz, short left hook, power right cross, gets him up against the fence, body shot. Who knows? I don't know. And fuck, Nate Diaz he's down to fight. I mean, he was the guy who stopped the meteoric rise of Conor McGregor with a rear naked choke. At that point, McGregor looked almost superhuman. Diaz stopped him. Obviously, McGregor's a little bit lighter than Diaz. He had to go up in weight, but
yeah, Khamzat could be a 185er. Let's be real.
I think Khamzat could give dudes at heavyweight a problem if we're being real, but
yeah.
That's a conversation for another day. I mean, look, the fight I think is lined correctly, but Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz for a reason. He enjoys the cult following that he does for a reason. He's going to go out there. He's going to give Khamzat the finger. He's going to bite down on his mouth guard, and he's going to go until somebody stops that fight, whether it be a decision or a ref stoppage. So, you know what? As always, I am War Diaz. I'm glad we're recording this on a Sunday when I feel level-headed, because by Wednesday, I will have talked myself into a scenario where Nate Diaz will win this fight, and I will just be insufferable to be around. So it's good that we're doing this now.
Yeah.
You want to go to the next fight? You want to talk about friend of the pod, first official 10-8 fighter, Jiang Li, the Leech, taking on El Kukui, Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, what the hell? Like, how did this come in? How did this even get scheduled? This
happened.
It makes no sense, right? This is Tony's first fight up at 170. It feels like he was just viciously knocked out, 6 months ago? Oh, wait, He was just viciously knocked out 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Never been stopped like that in his career. Went unconscious for what was like a scary 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
When Michael Chandler absolutely flatlined him with a front kick.
Yep.
Am I missing something here, Zach? This is an interesting matchup to make. The Leech isn't necessarily a huge draw per se. I mean, he obviously has the China fan base, which is huge. He has the 10-8 round legion of fans, which is arguably even bigger.
I'd say it is at this point. Yeah, at this point, it's global.
Yeah, after Sunday sit downs for sure. Do you know what the line is here? Do you have an idea of where Vegas is looking at?
Look, I've told you this before, and I'm going to tell you again. Don't
Mhm.
ask me to guess lines. Ask me to guess favorites. Don't ask me to guess lines. I don't know numbers super well. Not
Who's
a
the
math
favorite?
guy, John.
Who's the favorite here?
Leach is the favorite. He has to be.
Minus 287.
Okay.
Tony Ferguson plus 220.
Okay. I
I
believe
mean,
it.
we've seen the Leech have a little bit of an issue in the grappling department, right? That is, let's be honest, that is the only way that Tony wins this fight, is if he can exploit the grappling. But going up at 170, it's going to be harder to kind of wrestle a guy who's probably stronger than you. Let's be honest, Tony's in the tail end of his career, and the Leech is really, his trajectory is just going up and up and up. He's starting to kind of put a little streak together. His last loss was Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah.
So, this guy's seen it all at 170. I'm gonna side with our guy. I'm gonna side with, that's just who we are. We're loyal. And I honestly think he gets the job done here. Minus 287 is not really that bad of a price tag. I don't want to say it, but I think the boogeyman gets put to sleep again.
I mean, listen, I have no reason on MMA math to disagree with you. The math checks out for the Leech through and through. Like I said, these are I said this last week. I think it was last week that we were talking about how this fight just got announced. I said, these are two weirdos who are going to go in there and do weirdo stuff, right? It's like watching a fight happen in the Matrix, or, going to Mortal Kombat's Outworld to watch two mystics fight each other, to death. That being said, I believe that Jiang Li should be the rightful winner here. Flawless victory. And we keep it moving. Yeah, we keep it moving. Kevin Holland. What's that?
Down the line?
Down the line. Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez. How you feeling?
This is a juicy one.
This is a juicy one.
This is a sleeper. This is a sleeper fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to answer some questions surrounding part-time Batman Kevin Holland too. How legit is legit here? Because he's looking legit lately.
He has been looking legit lately, but so is D-Rod. Daniel Rodriguez, I saw something where I think he has the highest significant strikes landed per minute in the UFC currently.
Yeah.
Super accurate, really good kickboxer. This is going to definitely stay on the feet. Do you have a favorite here? We'll start off with that.
I believe that Holland should be the favorite here based on strength of previous schedule.
You'd be correct.
Okay.
Minus 200, not a huge favorite. D-Rod could be had for plus 165. When a fight is this evenly matched, it makes me side with the underdog here. I'm going to take a flyer, and I'm going to go with Daniel Rodriguez here. I think he's got a little bit more pop in his shots. We've seen Holland lose some fights earlier in his career where he's kind of gotten pieced up by some guys who hit really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like D-Rod. I like him at plus money. I think it's going to be a really, really close fight that could go either way. It's going to answer a lot of questions. And yeah, I'm going with D-Rod at plus money here. What do you got to say about that?
Oh, I met Kevin Holland about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be friendlier.
And
I'll say this, I don't blame him for not being friendlier. My man was being swarmed in Vegas by fans. And every fan there had like a weird request, right? Like they wanted to do like anime poses with him. They wanted to do like different hand gestures with him. By the time I got to meet him, I handed him a 10-8 sticker. He said, "Are you Zach from the 10-8 round podcast?" I said, "I am." He said, "Bro, I'm a huge fan," and we kept it moving. No, he was, when I met him, he was overwhelmed, and I think it cut down the friendliness, but I still can't get that taste out of my mouth. So I'm with D-Rod here. Fuck it. Let's go D-Rod.
Yeah, Daniel Rodriguez is kind of like an unknown to the casual fan base.
Yeah.
But this guy is very, very nasty on the feet. He can take some punishment and he can give it out. This hats off to the matchmakers on this one, because
Yeah.
this
Good
is a
one.
really, really good fight. It's a really good stylistic matchup. Both of these guys are going to bring it. And yeah, I think this is a sleeper for potentially like a fight of the night type deal. Obviously, that's very hard to say when you have Tony Ferguson on the card, period, or a Nathan Diaz on the card, period. So keep your eye on this one. I'm going to side with D-Rod at plus money, and we can work down the line from there.
Yeah, why not? I like it. Let's talk about what's next. You want to talk about Irene Aldana?
Yeah, this might surprise you. First off, who's the favorite here? We got Irene Aldana and Macy Chiasson.
All right, who's the favorite here? Look at the records. I'm gonna do a little MMA math in my head. I'm gonna say, is Irene Aldana the favorite?
You'd be correct.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. This might be a hot take. You can tell me if this is a hot take. Irene Aldana is my favorite play on the card.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Minus 210 favorite against Macy Chiasson, plus 170. Irene Aldana is a very, very smooth striker. This girl can really box. She's got those Mexican boxing roots. She doesn't take no shit. She stands and bangs. I think she's way more technical than Chiasson. She's definitely seen the higher level degree of competition. It speaks for it in her resume. Like she's fought the Holly Holmes of the division. She's fought the top of the top girls. She knocked out Ketlin Vieira, right? Who was said to be, possibly somebody that was going to dethrone Nunez. And Irene Aldana put a stop to that. Knocked her out like flush too. Nasty over the top. I see a lot of holes in Macy's game. And I think Irene's going to be able to exploit it. I don't really know where Chiasson wins this fight. And yeah, I really, really like Irene Aldana here. That's easily my favorite play on the card.
Yeah, no, I you look at the records between the two, and clearly Aldana has seen the stiffer competition. Her losses have really only come, I think, primarily to legit competitors. Most notably Raquel Pennington and Holly Holm, and then obviously a split decision loss to Caitlin Chikagian. But I think everybody has a split decision loss to Caitlin Chikagian. I think it's just kind of like a qualifier at this point. But yeah, no, I think you're spot on the money there. I think Aldana she's tough. She's no nonsense, quick hands. I think she's going to piece up Chiasson.
Yeah, I mean, I think even a stoppage is within the realm of possibility here. I just think she's too technical on the feet for Chiasson. Chiasson can get away with a lot of stuff in the division because of her size and her strength. She can put you up against the cage, but Irene has seen that. She's been there, done that. I think this might be a little bit of a coming out party for her, and I think she even could stop Macy here, or it's going to be a pretty decisive decision. All roads lead to Irene Aldana here, and I love it. I really love it.
You heard it on the 10-8 first. Aldana all the way. How do you feel about Johnny Walker versus Ion Cutelaba?
This is going to be fireworks, right?
Yeah.
Johnny Walker doesn't really have a chin.
No.
But he hits harder than he can hit with the best of them, right? He's got the power. He's got, I wouldn't say the output necessarily, but he's kind of one of those like tightly wound guys who, when he throws shots, he throws everything into them. Ion Cutelaba is no joke, though. Okay, Ion's been in there with some of the best of them. This one kind of surprised me how Vegas is approaching this one. Do you have an idea of who they are leaning toward the favorite here?
I would think Johnny Walker.
Ion Cutelaba. Minus 180.
All right, so he's a slight favorite.
The Romanian, right, Moldovan, Ion Cutelaba is not even
Cutelaba.
The Hulk. We'll just say the Hulk.
There we go. The Hulk.
The Hulk minus 180, Johnny Walker plus 150. It's one of those fights where it's like if Johnny gets slept, I won't be surprised. You know what I mean? If Kutabala catches him with something, but I don't think he is. I don't think the Hulk's going to catch him with anything. I'm going to side with Johnny Walker plus money here. I am.
Do you remember it was just like 3 years ago that Johnny Walker was like the next big thing? Johnny Walker was the freakish answer to all of our problems at 205.
Yeah.
And then somebody figured him out. Magomed Ankalaev beat the brakes off of him twice.
The Corey Anderson one was the really like the stamp that kind of that just really fucking derailed everything that he had built up.
Yeah.
Him getting knocked out by Corey Anderson is not a great look. You can see it in a lot of his fights. When you touch that chin, his lights go off. He does not have a good chin, and that is a shitty quality to have at 205.
Yeah.
The Hulk isn't a guy, though, that, you know, he's not a guy that's going to like catch you in that right spot. He's more of like a brawler, grinder type guy. Reminds me of like a Paula Costa, Marvin Vettori type, just like relentless pace, can take shots, and is kind of going to wear you down over time.
Which is, I think, tailor-made for Johnny Walker, right? That's tailor-made for some weird shit to happen. You know, you got a guy who just wants to stand and bang with you, just chase you around the cage. That's tailor-made for Johnny Walker to do something weird and just put a stamp on it.
I could see the Hulk go for like a blast double leg and Walker just catch him with like a straight knee up the middle.
Yeah.
And just that be the end of the fight. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. So with that being said, I'm going to side with plus money here. This is a dog play for me. I'm not going to touch the Hulk.
I like that dog play.
Johnny Walker's got to get in the win column too, right? This is like kind of a make or break fight for him as far as I'm concerned. He's on a huge losing streak. Just got absolutely memed by Jamal Hill.
Yeah.
So coming off, but like look at the losses, right? Thiago Santos, Jamal Hill.
I love
the quality is up there. I like Walker here. The more and more we talk about this,
yeah, I'm with you.
That plus 150 feels a little juicy to me. I'm circling Johnny at plus money, and I'm circling Irene Aldana as my favorite.
So for Johnny Walker, you're saying those dogs might be barking.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I've seen worse plus 150 underdogs. We'll say that much.
Yeah, well, I'll go back. I'll correct myself real quick. It's actually Ian Kutilaba who has 2 losses to Magomed Ankalaev, not Johnny Walker. So I had to correct that real quick. Mm-hmm. Johnny Walker is, of course, 1-4 in his last 5. Exactly. After what was, I wouldn't go so far as to call it meteoric, but I would say that this guy was putting win after win together, and was looking. I mean, he wins on the Contender Series, then he goes on 3 in a row. All of them were TKO or KO, and they were all just the strangest things, right? Spinning back fists, elbows, flying knees, right? He was looking like the next big thing. Yeah. And then Corey Beaston 25-8 Anderson just completely derailed it. That, and he blew his knee out doing a backflip, I think, after he beat Serkinov.
Serkinov, yep.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this is a make or break for Johnny Walker. I think at that money, you're right. And I think Kutilaba is tailor-made for Johnny Walker to do something weird, like a flying knee or a spinning back fist, and just get that dub. So I'm with you on that one. I think dogs are barking.
Yeah, back against the wall. Give me the dog that's going to that needs to fight for his lunch money.
Yeah, always.
That's how I see it. That was it. That was the main card. We covered the main card. You know, the real juice on the bone, the real meat there. There wasn't too much that stuck out to me on the prelims. I don't know if you want to get into anything.
I mean, Hakeem Dawodu is fighting.
Julian Rosa. I like Dawodu by decision.
Yeah, I like Dawodu by decision, but I think that could be a good fight. I think it's a decent fight for your premier prelim. Featured prelim, is that what they call it on UFC? Your featured prelim bout.
Yep.
Jake Collier's on the card.
I think I
Chris Barnett.
I think he absolutely rolls Chris Barnett for whatever
Yeah,
that's
I
worth.
agree.
He has a minus 430 price tag. Barnett's plus 320. I mean, you're talking about, you know, middling heavyweights here. Collier actually has a pretty impressive gas tank. Barnett does not.
Yeah.
I think Collier absolutely steamrolls him. Minus 430 actually is kind of enticing for me. Maybe like a little parlay piece.
Yeah.
I just don't see how Chris Barnett wins this fight.
Yeah, I don't either. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jake Collier is the wrestler from Missouri. He is the guy who I think got absolutely robbed in his last fight against Andrei Arlovsky. Yeah, I think Collier was a clear winner on that fight, and they gave it to the Pitbull Arlovsky. He has a win over friend of the 10-8 pod and 10-8 favorite, the Vanilla Gorilla Chase Sherman.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he should roll Barnett here. Not too much else to say about it. You wanna take a look through the lens here and see what's going on in the MMA world? See
Yeah.
what's worth talking about?
Yeah, let's give the people a little a little taste of what's going on in MMA today.
Well, let's get this one out of the way because it's easy. I don't know if you venture too often into the bare knuckle fighting championship world. I hope you don't.
Little sprinkle every now and then, a little dabble.
Every now and again, turn around bright eyes, because every now and then I fall apart and I find myself watching bare knuckle. I wish I could remember the two women's names, but this was, and I can't right now. And I tried to look real quick before we went live and I couldn't find it. This I think perfectly encapsulated why I hate the bare knuckle fighting championships. Two women. Let me see if I can pull it up while I'm talking here and setting the stage a little bit. Two women fighting. One of them, I believe, was a TikToker, an
influencer, perhaps.
An influencer. That's the right word for it. Here we go. Yes, I believe an influencer was fighting Ty Emery. Yeah, so Rung Aaron Kunchai was her opponent. Ty Emery knocked her out. Kunchai was left a weeping mess in the middle of the circle because they fight in a circle. And Ty Emery got on the top rope and decided to flash the moneymakers, throw a little skin in the game there, while her opponent wept in the middle of the circle. And I'm like, I don't know. There's something here in the formula that's just not getting me in. It's just not putting fans in the stands for me. But you astutely pointed out before the show how many views that video now has of Ty Emery exposing her more feminine side to the crowd. So I just figured maybe I'd pop this open while we talked a little bit here. See if I can't get our views up a little bit. What do you think? You feeling it? I'm feeling it.
Sun crisp and all.
Listen, this is what they get for free. If you want nipple, you can find our OnlyFans. That's all you get for free.
She's clearly got a trend going right now. We're talking about her. You're flashing the skin. She tried to give the fans price of admission. She stirred the pot a little bit, and she took her own approach. I'm not sure we've ever seen that ever, right?
I'm sure that at some, I would guess that at some Cage Vikings event in Florida at the Florida State Fairgrounds, yeah, it's probably happened. Somebody's probably lifted their top to celebrate a dub before. And I'm only sure that it happened at the Florida State Fairgrounds because I have the misfortune of having been to the Florida State Fairgrounds for an MMA event. Look, you know what? I'm not going to hate on her for it. That is what it is. Out here, if you want to get paid, you got to make yourself an entity, and you got to go secure the bag however you can. It seemed odd to do that while your opponent wept in the middle of the circle. But at the end of the day, secure the bag. For me, for this guy right here, I I don't know. It just felt a little too strange for me. It felt a little too bare knuckly for me to be like, this is anything other than fucking bare knuckle.
Yeah, I mean, we can't say we didn't really expect it. I feel like that embodies everything that bare knuckle boxing is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
We got exactly what we expected. She maybe she's a trailblazer as far as I'm concerned. Maybe this is the start of something new. Who knows? We're gonna find out.
You know what? They never celebrated touchdowns until the icky shuffle, right? They never celebrated touchdowns until somebody went out there and did the icky
This
shuffle.
is this the icky shovel
This might be the
equivalent
new
here?
icky shuffle. This might be the new play here. And I know that you and I spoke about it. I know we saw Tom Aspinall on Twitter yesterday getting all sorts of horny. Do you
Yeah.
think maybe Ty Emery has now released some of the hornies into the universe that is combat sports? Tom Aspinall went out to get the paper, sniff the air.
Yeah.
Oof, now he's feeling it.
She put a little bit of the testosterone out there for the for everybody to take in and
I believe scientifically it would be known as a pheromone. And yeah, now Tom Aspinall, married, is shooting his shot with Megan O'Leary during during the broadcast.
I didn't know that. I know we had to check if it was a parody account. He also I don't know if you saw, also mentioned Lauren Sanko in there.
He did mention Lorisenko. Listen, both great looking gals. Can't fault Tom Aspinall for feeling how he feels.
Of course.
But on the heels of Ty Emery lifting up her top to celebrate a win in bare knuckle, to then Tom Aspinall verbalizing how he feels about two color commentators for the UFC, I have to wonder if combat sports isn't just getting a little too horny to celebrate the end of summer. Yeah, it's never good when combat sports gets horny. If you spent any time in the MMA Twitter universe, you know that it is the horniest place on the planet, and it is an absolute nightmare. I hide the fact that I exist in that universe from friends and family. I don't want them to know that that's where I lurk on the internet, because it's just too horny. It's too horny.
Yeah, I mean, something about two people half naked getting into a ring just brings out our basic human instincts, right? I mean, you're flapping it open, you're ready to go. The energy's still pulsating through us. It's clear as day. Hey, maybe she was onto something. Maybe the entire vibe changed when she did that. It brought a new energy now. We have a new energy. We have a new way to celebrate. Trailblazer.
She's a trailblazer. She's done something. The wheels are in motion that cannot be taken back now. So, for better or worse, I have a feeling. Ty Emery was the domino that has now started something that we are not done talking about for a little while. That's all I'm going to say about it. Maybe that's my too soon to tell bet, but that's what I'm going to say. Okay. I'll tell you this though, John Boy, because you and I spoke about this off air. I'll take 1,000 Tom Aspinalls and 1,000,000 Ty Emerys before I ever take what I saw happen in Russian MMA this weekend. And I know you sent me the video. What a shambles that was, for our listeners who are not complete psychopaths like John and I are, who follow things like this. Two gentlemen engaged in a little bit of a mutually agreed upon scrap, one of whom seems to be locking in a key lock to get a W from full mount, and a Russian referee comes over and stands him up, takes him out of a submission.
Yeah, I think maybe like a 200-pound weight discrepancy as well.
I said this to you off air. I'll say it again. I don't know what in the UFC 1 was happening with that weight discrepancy.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know this for fact, but just by eyeballing it, it didn't look like those two guys were in the same weight class. Nonetheless, I mean, it just goes to show, if you have a ref that stands it up prematurely, it can really change everything, right? Guys in full mount, stands him up and gets slept 5 seconds later.
By a head kick.
By a head kick, and then a knee right up the middle that sent him on a face plant, unconscious.
God help us.
Russia, man. They got some shit going down over there.
God help us. Yeah, Russia. Who knew? Well, you want to talk about Patty the Batty, since it's a day that ends in Y?
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a true 10-8 round podcast without a little bit of Patty slander, right? We got to get in a little bit of Patty slander. For those of you who don't know, Patty the Batty was just on Hot Boxing, Mike Tyson's podcast, looking as plump as ever. Definitely not cutting cows. Definitely, living his best life. Got to respect that a little bit. But I don't know, man. I just didn't like what he had to say, talking about how he doesn't know if he wants to fight a contender, a top 15 guy for another year or two. He's going to keep taking his diet for granted. He's going to correct his diet once he starts fighting ranked guys. It's just not that aura that you feel with other guys who just want every challenge, right? The guys that are just hungry as can be, but in a completely different way. Not hungry for the buffet, but hungry for gold. And he doesn't embody what Conor McGregor and those guys that he's being compared to did earlier in their career. And for me, that's extremely concerning. And it really just gives me affirmation that I kind of assessed the Patty train correctly.
Yeah, look, it's so. First of all, I don't think anybody should ever be compared to Conor McGregor, because I think Conor McGregor was, and I think that that's an unfair way to compare or rank Patty. Right? There's only ever going to be, for better or worse, and I really mean for better and for worse. I hope that there will only ever be one Conor McGregor. I don't think we'll ever see a meteoric rise like that again. I don't think we'll ever see a personality like that again. And I think Patty is not that guy. He's not that personality. The highest level of shit talking this guy's doing is making Call of Duty references, right? He's grabbing the mic post fight to talk about men's mental health awareness. I mean, first of all, I would say to Patty the Batty, aim a little higher than a McGregor comparison, because I think you're worth more. Know your worth, King. And number two, it's hard to blame Patty, who's making money, who's selling tickets, who's putting fans in the stands. You compare this guy to Conor McGregor. You say he doesn't want to take the fights like McGregor does, and I say absolutely. Who the hell would? McGregor's rise was meteoric for a reason, and I don't think anyone's ever going to reach that echelon again. So I agree with you. I think the comparison was wrong, but I think wrong for the right reasons. I think Patty is going to take his time. I do hope he dials his diet in a little bit, because I heard a rumor he was tipping the scales at 206, and those are Zach from Philly numbers that he's putting up on that scale right now. So I hope he dials.
A guy who fights at 155 as well.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much.
Aggressive.
That's a 50-pound weight cut. If 206 is accurate, that's a 50-pound weight cut. That can't be good for you. But no, I completely agree with you. He's not Conor McGregor in no way, for better or worse. In the best ways and the worst ways, he's not Conor McGregor. He's Patty the Batty. And I think we got another 2 years of him fighting soup cans before he fights somebody ranked. And I don't blame him. 155 is murderer's row right now. Who the fuck would want to rush into the ranks there? Oh,
no, I mean, I completely get it, right? Like, who are we to say he's going to coast it out? He signed the Barstool contract. Get paid, right?
That's it.
Paid, take care of yourself. Of course, that's the motive. These guys are prize fighters at the end of the day. Make sure that they get paid, because they deserve every cent. So you have to plan this out. This has to be a meticulous approach where you don't rush into it and you derail the money train. I completely get it. But you're only as good as your last fight. And a lot of people are hyping him up, and a lot of people are blowing a little bit of smoke. And I think the casual fan base is a little bit hoodwinked here. They're being sold wolf tickets. And as soon as this guy gets in the ring with somebody who's a legitimate 155er, I think there's going to be serious issues. I don't even know if he can break into the top 15, top 10.
Yeah, well, look, I'll tell you this: at the end of the day, I'm not going to begrudge Patty getting his money and securing that bag for one reason and one reason only. No one's going to secure it for him. I don't know if you saw this, but the UFC inked themselves a new shoe deal with The Rock. Got some new trainers out there. I thought they looked kind of cool. There's the Rock's energy drink, and I think you're probably making as much for The Rock as UFC fighters are. The only difference is You went out and bought that on your own.
Yeah.
The UFC fighters were required to wear them, were required to take pictures with them. I think they might have been required to like shout them out in something. I don't know. Put it this way, the UFC fighters yesterday at UFC Paris were required to put on a whole dog and pony show for these new trainers that the UFC inked a deal on. The Rock himself, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, said that the fighters were his inspiration to make this shoe, and that without them, this shoe wouldn't have been possible. And then people started asking how much money the fighters were going to make off of this shoe deal, and it's been crickets.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's nothing because I haven't seen anything in paper that says it's nothing, but it's starting to sound and feel like it might be nothing. Sounds like they might be getting a goose egg off these shoes that they're being forced to hawk in Paris, France right now. So I gotta tell you, secure that bag on your own, kings and queens, because Uncle Dana ain't gonna secure it for you.
Yeah, it looks like they're asking you to submit your shoe size. They'll send you a couple of shoes, and that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. If you want the owner to make your money for you, I would suggest professional baseball. They'll help you get paid. The UFC, they ain't gonna help you get paid. They don't care if you starve. They don't care if you sleep in your gym where you train. They don't care if you live in your fucking car. And when they need you to get out there and trot out a product for them, best believe they're going to make sure you trot that fucking product out. So I hope younger fighters follow the Patty bandwagon and get that money on their own because it ain't coming. Help ain't coming otherwise.
Agreed.
John Boy, anything else for this week?
I think we did it, dude. I think we did the dance. I think we gave a solid assessment.
I think that's another Sunday sit down.
Another Sunday sit down. Thank you for joining us. We got some comments that we really appreciated. So if you guys are watching this and you have anything that you might want us to add, if there's anything that we fucked up on, dude, we love the feedback. We love the feedback. We love the criticism. We want it all. So let us know how you feel down in the comments. If there's something we could do better or something else that you guys want to see. And we will have boots on the ground at UFC 279. I will be in Vegas next week.
Ooh, baby.
So we'll see if I can drunkenly obtain a fighter to maybe stumble upon the 10-8 round podcast. That is for you guys to find out later down the road. But otherwise, thank you guys for taking this Sunday sit down ride with us. And I'll turn it over to Zach to finish it off.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the constant support. Last week was kind of big for us in the support realm and kind of reaffirmed why we do this. We're doing this for the real fans and we love you guys so much. I want to shout out Sucker Free Jiu-Jitsu here in Lindenhurst, Long Island, on the island for their hospitality to me on Friday. Everybody, your challenge this week is to DM Alex Caceres and ask him why he hasn't been on the 10-8 yet. And see what he says. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But I'm not going to ramble, guys. So instead of listening to me, why don't you get off your ass? Why don't you go ahead and call your mother? Tell her you love her because we out.
Peace.